Because when I found this truth, guess what happened? I put my birthday away. When I found this truth, I put the drugs away. When I found this truth, I quit whoring my sisters. When I found this truth, I started becoming a better man and a better person. Because now I know I'm on that narrow path. Now I know I'm on a righteous path. Now I know what I'm doing is going to get me somewhere.
I got you. Let it vibe real quick.
It's time to vote God. My God, a real nigga. Cause he wasn't no flaw. Posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure, got that shotty in the closet by the mob ball. Fuck what they heard, but tell them it's all true. Be cautious, that foundation voltage and fall through. They gon' fall. Look, I keep this shit 50 times 2. Ain't no more heart in this game, I'm John Q. Colder than the avalanche, way above average. Fierce taste sweet, told him make me an apple tree. Left us in the valley full of bones, this where hope found. Java, come on, man. Dark sands get broke down. Riding through Evans to a mall quad. Telling me how the crackers turn this child into a ghost town. Focus out, nigga, I lay that game down. I feel his pain, cause nothing is the same now. Let my light shine like heaven through a rain cloud. Glock have a fit like my child, no tangent. Try to warn them niggas, we bear arms like tarantulas. Them mother niggas rap, I make anthems. I really see prophets under this banner. Made my enemies bow down on camera. Told my design I wanted black and white like a panda. I'm better than that nigga that sunk dirt in Diana. Look, I move like a Brazilian, precious cargo, spirit Asian, but I got a new semi-auto. Wave that bitch around like where's Wardo. Sleep if they won't, I cut through they Z's like I'm Zorro. Pay me for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like Dorothy when the heels touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much.
What?
Round with Yaradon, just left the state bridge.
What?
For a bitch better than baby kid. Remember I dropped quiet stone, I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
That's the 1-2. Shalom Israel, the Israelite School, Universal and Practical Knowledge.
Because I'm willing to fight against drug dealers if they Muslim, if they Christian, if they atheist, if they Buddhist, if they killing black men. Guess what? I'm gonna say something about it. Because you know why? Just like you ain't gonna, like your boy said, it ain't gonna happen. Guess what? I'm not letting nobody sell you drugs without me saying that. I'm not gonna do it.
Trying to find something to follow. Had loyalty, every man tried to borrow. Felt pain and a lot of sorrow. Got betrayed, so packed, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops got me on the side of the road like a sideshow. Need an antidote before I croak. Now I'm setting fire to rhythm man blues. Call this guitar smoke. Rebel with no cause, trying to find direction. The world got me vexed. Picked up a bad liquor habit that's hereditary from oppression. Felt like my life was on fire, trying to find an exit. Now look, 10 G's plus a good break. Sometimes a follower is a soldier, trying to find a good shepherd. Plus when you in hell, how did you excel? Wisdom the breath of life, I don't believe in fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain. Something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent from the Lord? Got a tongue like a two-edged sword, with a style that they might just record. The only thing equal is the curse for the wicked and the righteous reward. Have mercy on the men that don't see it, separated from the tares. Now on my prayers and it's so be it. A rebel, take the world by word of mouth. UPK, we the rebels that you heard about. Yeah, and it ain't gonna stop till 100 virgins in the house and I'm handing verdicts out. Yeah, rank, you ain't heard a clout without a shadow of a doubt. These devils hitting licks off us. Fuck the bank, I'm about to stone the pocket ticket office. Can't sweet talk us, cannot stop us. And plus I know the feds watching us. Telling people that they church full of witch doctors. Put us in prison, they stockpile us. Meanwhile, UPK turning rebels into rock wallers. In league with mighty men, and now I understand things that never truly made sense. Like why I'm crying at this funeral for a criminal, knowing he ain't innocent. It's fucked up, but my boot shine, standing between two priests, about to blaze on their heads, call it tough love. Look out for niggas just club and wouldn't touch a white bitch with OJ's black gloves. Father, forgive me for my error. I'm forever by your side, clean and purge me of all my flaws. This the reason I'm alive. Thank God for this truth, cause for a long time was a rebel without a cause.
Look, man, first time I met Commander Junior Hunter, man, hit 3807.
Rebel without a cause.
My little daughter with me. Opened the door, he was dropping the truth on me and all that.
Rebel
He said,
without a
yeah,
cause.
man, you know, you do your time. We taking the mountains, training in hand-to-hand combat.
Rebel without a
said,
cause.
oh, yeah.
It's the reason I'm
Shine me
alive.
up,
Thank
nigga.
God for this truth, cause for a long time was a rebel without a cause.
And you cannot whoop us. We're already dead. We're already beaten down. We've been beaten down for 400 years. We already got the wounds inside and outside our bodies. How you gonna hurt us? You cannot threaten us. You cannot frighten us. We live in the most frightening places, under the most frightening.
All right, let's clap it up. Hey, Shalom, Israel. We the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. This is the Tuesday? The Tuesday Brotherhood class. You know what I mean? Where you can ask all your Brotherhood questions. You know what I mean? We've been teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible since 1969. I mean, if you got any questions online or in the class, you go ahead and raise your hand, or you could type your questions in the chat, and we'll answer all your questions and solve all your problems. I know, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we got a billion problems. We got a whole bunch of problems. I mean, and as a matter of fact, let's get this bedrock scripture real quick since we're talking about problems, because I want Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to understand something. Get the two greatest commandments. You know that scripture?
Christ was speaking.
Yeah. We got a whole bunch of problems, and you know, since this is the Brotherhood class, I mean, a lot of our it's only fitting for us to let you know that a lot of our problems stem from brotherhood and the lack thereof. I mean, a lot of you go to the Deuteronomy. I know we didn't Deuteronomy 28 y'all to death. I mean, I know a lot of brothers and sisters may know Deuteronomy 28 like the back of your hand, because that's all the curses, that's all the blessings that will go to Israel, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans if we follow our laws, statutes, and commandments, and the curses that'll come on Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans if we don't follow our laws, statutes, and commandments. I mean, but all of those things are rooted in brotherhood, which is why it's such a disgusting thing. Which is why it's such a disgusting thing for the Christian church to tell you that the law is done away with. They tell you the law is done away with. In their mind, when they say the law is done away with, they what they think that means is, oh, I can eat a little pork. I can sleep with some strange nations. I can celebrate a little Christmas. I mean, it's for the children, right? That's what your Christian pastor thinks when they think the law is done away. When they teach children that the law is done away with, when they teach your mothers and your fathers that the law is done away with, they're thinking about the shrimp that they want to eat. You know what I mean? They thinking about the lobster that they want to eat and the catfish that they want to eat after church. They're thinking about the Christmas that they want to celebrate and the Thanksgiving that they want to celebrate. But they're not thinking about how not abusing not sexually abusing one another is in the law too. They're not thinking about that. They're not thinking about how they're not thinking about unaliving one another, how that's in the law too. They're not thinking about that. And that's because your Christian pastors and your Catholic priests, they are not brothers. They're not brothers to you, even if they are Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Because of course we all know that that religion from our oppressor. Catholicism, Christianity, even Kemet and what's it called? What's the other major religion? The Rock. What's the dumb rock?
Islam.
Yeah, Islam. We got Islam, Christianity, you know what I mean, Kemet, Egyptology, and all of that. We got all of that from oppressors, from these other nations that don't have our best interest in mind. You know what I mean? So of course, of course they don't. They're not our brother. You know what I mean, the East Indians and the what's it called? The East Indians and the Arabs and the your oppressor, the Edomites and all of that, Moab, Ammon, all of those people and the religions that are tied to those people, they're of course not our brother. But you got some Black and Hispanics that are diehard Christians and diehard Catholics. I mean, I think Captain Desire just got done a couple weeks ago debating, you know what I mean, these Hispanic brothers that were Catholics. And no matter how much him and Captain Kataza pulled scriptures to show them their hypocrisy and how they didn't understand the Bible, they believed in that white Jesus and that white God and how God loves everybody. They believed in that regardless of what the Bible said. So even though they're Hispanic, even though your Catholic priest is a Hispanic or Native American or so-called African American man or a Jamaican or Caribbean or Dominican or Guatemalan or whatever the case is, they're not your brother. I'm gonna show you that in the Bible. Go ahead. Read what you got, Baba Kasha.
Khan. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 22, and verse 38. This is the first and great commandment.
Go a little bit above it.
Khan.
And this is why, just to remind, this is why it's so evil for your Christian pastors to say the law is done away with, and that there's nothing that you have to follow. Because what are they teaching you? You know what I mean? Like, if it's not the law, if it's not like they claim to open the Bible and read from the Bible every week, but what are they teaching you if it's not the law? Because that's what the Bible is about. I mean, the New Testament, when Christ was, you know what I mean, when Christ was teaching and he raised up his disciples, and after he was crucified and then his disciples took over, there was no New Testament. So what do you think they were teaching from? They was teaching and quoting the Old Testament. That's why it says, as it says in OC, as it says in Isaiah, which is Elijah, which is OC is Hosea. When Christ said, doesn't it say in your law that ye are gods? He's quoting, I believe, what, Proverbs. He's quoting the Old Testament. Everything that Christ taught, he's not like the Christians and the Catholics try to make it seem like Christ came and changed the law. They try to make it seem like he came and brought a new thing in the earth. But all he was doing was teaching what was already taught. You know what I mean? Just like the prophets of old, just like Elijah and Elisha and Solomon and David and you know what I mean, all the prophets that you see in the Old Testament, they was just teaching what was taught. And then you get to the New Testament, Christ and the disciples, they were just teaching what the prophets of old were teaching. You know what I mean? That's how important it is. And we're about to show you right now. Go ahead, read what you got.
Khan. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 22, and verse 36. Master, which is the great commandment in the law?
See, this is the problem with Christianity. Like they think that tend to think, and that's not what's going on here, but they tend to like Christianity. They tend to think that uh eating shrimp ain't no big deal, as long as I'm not, unaliving nobody. Until they do, right? Like every Christian think that there's whatever they want to do and sneak and do on the side is cool, as long as they're not doing like they like to pick and choose. They like to cherry pick what they can and can't do. We don't do that in the ISUPK. You know what I mean? Like, confession is good for the soul. It's some abominations that I miss eating. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't even gonna go through it, but it's a couple abominations that was easy to get rid of. Like, I was never really a pork eater in the world. So that was easy. I came in the truth and they said pork is unclean. Pig is unclean to eat. I was like, cool. Most High in Christ. But it's a couple things that's a little bit more difficult to get rid of because that was the thing that I enjoyed. Like I didn't think shrimp was too bad. You know what I mean? I didn't think tuna was too bad. But the law said that was unclean. So guess what I had to do? Even though I didn't, it wasn't my, it wasn't that deep to me because the Most High said that I couldn't do it. I had to stop doing it. And that's what these brothers and sisters in here do. When the Most High says that something is unlawful or something is unclean or you must do this thing, then we do the thing that the Most High said to do and we don't do the thing that the Most High said not to do. It's really that simple. And that right there is brotherhood. That is, if you wanted to know how to be a brother, and right now is the time to learn how to be a perfect brother or a perfect sister. Right now, when you see brothers and sisters getting scooped up by ICE, and getting carried away captive, like it says in in Deuteronomy 28. You see brothers and sisters starving and brothers and sisters getting separated from their families. You see brothers and sisters getting unalived by the police and the military, and just some oppressor with a gun. Right now is the time for us to gather together and be brothers. Go ahead, read on.
Khan. Verse 37. Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.
Mm-hmm. See, this is the part that your Christian pastors, they stop right here. They're like, as long as you like, we've been taught from a young age that love it's a feeling that you get in your chest. It's like when you meet some boy that you're not gonna be with, 6 months from now. You meet some girl that you're not gonna be with. You're not gonna want to be with her the moment you lay with her. You know what I mean? You meet some popular, somebody that you think is your friend, whatever the case is. Our relationships are temporary in the world. You know what I mean? You think that feeling that you get in your chest is love. You think that, oh, this person makes me feel good. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. That's love. But love is actually keeping the commandments. And the reason why we think that love is that warm, fuzzy feeling is because the Christian church stops right here. Read that again, Bob Kashaw.
Khan. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 22 and verse 37. Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.
So you think that loving the Lord with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind is you crying in the middle of the church and you and you doing all the nonsense that you see in that Christian church. That's not love. It's a little bit deeper than that. So what we just read in Matthew 22 and 30, what was it, 36?
36 and 37 now.
What we just read in 36, the brother asks, what is the greatest commandment? He's asking about the commandments. See, that's the part that goes over Christians' heads. He's asking about the commandments, which means you can't read that again.
Yahushua said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart.
So you can't love the Lord thy God with all thy heart without keeping the commandments. You get the point? Is this clear enough? I mean, he's asking about the commandments. And in the next verse, Christ is saying, thou shalt love the Lord with all if you want to keep the commandments, love the Lord with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. That's the first step. Go ahead.
Verse 38. This is the first and great commandment.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Verse 39. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
And that's the second. See, the whole go ahead and read the next part. Slaki.
Verse 40. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
See, this is the problem with the Christian church. They read that and they think that negates the commandments. They say, oh, well, I mean, in the Old Testament, you had all the 613 laws, statutes, and commandments. In the Old Testament, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. But Christ came and said, all you got to do is love the Lord with all thy heart and love your brother, which means, how do you love your brother? Without the commandments. This is the reason why our relationships fail. This is the reason why you can't stay married. This is why we can't keep fathers in the house. The reason why we always have broken homes. The reason why your children hate you right now. The reason why your parents hate you. You hate your parents right now. Right now. It's because it is. Because you can't love your brother, your sister, your father, your mother without the commandments. But the Christian church, they teach you that loving your brother is just that warm feeling that you have on the inside. Loving your sister, loving your wife, loving your husband is just that warm, cozy feeling that you have on the inside. So guess what? What happens when, you know what I mean? What happens when things aren't so comfortable? It's easy to love one another when things are comfortable. You know, when bills is paid, when you got a little money in your pocket, when you able to, pop out, have a little alone time with your husband or your wife, when you're able to take your kids to the, what's that joint called that we had the Austin cookout at? Kalahari. You able to take your kids to the Kalahari and to the zoo and have a good old time. You able to, you able to enjoy hell. It's easy to love your brother and your sister and your children and your father and your mother when things are good. But what happens when your gas tank on E and your rent due and your light bill due and your gas bill due and your AC go out and your alternator go out? What happens then? What happens when you lose your job? Become a little bit more difficult to love your brother. Because you don't have that warm, fuzzy feeling on the inside. You know what I mean? What happens when you discover that your man can have more than one woman? What happens then? It's a little bit more difficult because you don't necessarily have that warm, fuzzy feeling about what if you have a one night stand, brothers, and you realize that you didn't slept with candy cakes from the strip club from the club the night before, and now that's your wife, and now you got to deal with all her problems. How much more difficult is it to love your brother then? That warm fuzzy feeling. I mean, I know you was feeling good at the club. You had a couple what they call them Incredible Hulks. You know what I mean, you done had a couple of Incredible Hulks and what they call them, them Henny Sunrises, and y'all know them drinks. You know what I mean? You done had a couple drinks in you, and then now you done woke up next to candy cakes from you know what I mean, cinnamon diamond from the script club from last night, and now that's your wife, and she's not going nowhere. Candy cakes is not going nowhere. You done slept with her. You ain't do no thinking. You ain't do no considering. You ain't get no counsel. You didn't lay with this woman, and now that's your wife. And she's doing everything but leaving. She cutting up your Jordans. She busting the windows out your car, but she's not leaving. She's not going to sleep with nobody. Are you a priest and prophet of the Lord? She done struck gold with you. She done struck gold with you. She done met a priest and prophet of the Lord in the club, and now candy cakes. Go to Isaiah 4:1 real quick. Hold that. Open up. Yeah. That's what you don't realize. And this is the problem. This is the problem. We don't understand what time it is. We really got to understand what time it is, because the Christian church done lied to us. They done deceived us. They done refuse to teach us the truth. So we don't understand. Go ahead, read what you got.
Khan. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 4 and verse 1. And in that day,
And in what day?
And in that day.
And in what day?
That day.
And in that day. What's that day? The day where, as a matter of fact, let's run through Isaiah. Let's go through Isaiah 3. Go to Isaiah 3 and start around 20. I'll get there with you. Isaiah 3 and just, I mean, you know
what, 18?
Hey, start. Yeah, you can start there.
18 give you more context too. You go down the line.
Hey, do your thing. You got it, priest. I trust you.
Khan, sir. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet.
Mm-hmm. So this is the day that the Lord is talking about in Isaiah 4:1. The Lord will. This is talking about how the Lord is going to chastise the children of Israel. This particular chapter is talking about our sisters. I mean, this whole chapter is talking about how the Lord is going to deal with the nation of Israel. But this particular chapter is talking about our sisters. Go ahead. And it says it's going to take away the bravery of your tinkling ornaments about your feet. See, you so brave. Our sisters are so brave, and so our sisters feel so beautiful. You got them ornaments, you got them earrings, and you got the footwear. You got the footwear, you got the ornaments on your feet, you got your toes done. How much more confident do you feel when you got your nails done, hair done, everything did? Right? Am I making this up?
You know what?
You feel what you got? You want to elaborate?
If I could, to your point, when a woman do get done up and all that, they do feel they feel good about themselves. I can understand it though. You got your nails, your hair, your feet. You look good. You smell good. It boosts your confidence up. So
absolutely,
for sure.
No, that's a fact, and you absolutely should feel confident. I mean, you do look good.
Yeah.
I mean, you look good. You smell good. You know what I mean? You done up. You know what I mean? You should be confident. But read that again.
Khan. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 18. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments.
See, this is the problem when you put your bravery, when you put your value in the things that you have. Because guess what? The Lord can take that away. Like we just read right here. This is what's happening to us right now. That's not in some futuristic timeline like your Christian Israelite groups want to teach you, like your Christian church want to teach you, or you know what I mean? Whatever religion you go into, they teach you as if this is some futuristic time that hasn't come yet. But that's not what's going on here. This is happening right now. The Lord is taking away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet. Go ahead.
And their calls. And their round tires like the moon.
Mm-hmm. See, it's getting to the point where you see these sisters like Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B. You know what I mean? These sisters is you know what I mean, what you see on the internet is not what it is in private. Like you see it on the internet. You know what I mean? These sisters got the you know what I mean, they got the slim waist, the wide or the slim waist, the wide hips, the you know what I mean, the perfect breasts. They got the perfect hair, the perfect skin. You know what I mean? They always got on all this jewelry and these, you know what I mean, these round tires like the moon. That's the big old hoop earrings that our sisters like to wear. You know what I'm saying? You know, but that's what you see on the internet. But like we just saw with Meg the Stallion, well, how did this whole kerfuffle start? Well, it was she said that she needed what was it, 700,000
A month.
a month
Yeah.
from Clay Thompson. You think that these sisters, you think that they are maintaining this this body, this build, this appearance because you know what I mean, just because they just bad bees. You know what I mean? They maintaining it by the skin of their teeth. They're maintaining it by this much. You know, Cap always say we got 1 foot in the 1 foot in the apartment and 1 foot under the bridge. These sisters, they got 1 foot in the Met Gala. They got 1 foot in the garbage. You know what I'm saying? But they maintaining these things by the skin of their teeth. You barely getting your nails done. You barely getting your hair done. You're barely getting, you know what I mean? You're barely able to get that BB, what was it? The BBL, you barely able to get the BBL. Sisters is dying on the table. I don't know if y'all know this or not. Sisters is dying on the table trying to maintain this image. Maintain their what? Read that again from the top.
Wakan. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 18. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery.
They're dying on the table trying to maintain this bravery that they think comes from these. Go ahead.
Of their tinkling ornaments.
You think that your bravery comes from these tinkling ornaments, so much so that you're dying on the table. You're dying on the table trying to get this BBL. You're dying on the table getting these letting the doctor cut you up and cut you open, moving things around. You know what I mean? Oh my God. I know this ain't a sister. What's the old girl name? The Edomite that Wiz Khalifa was with. Amber Rose. Y'all saw that before and after makeup picture? You go ahead and pull that up on the you know what I'm talking about? Amber. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? My point is, you know what I mean, all of this, if you put your bravery in these tinkling ornaments, you put your bravery in your WAP, like Meg the Stallion did. Put your bravery in your body, in your shape, in your looks, in your jewelry, in your breast, and in your behind. Then what's gonna happen when you don't have all those things? That's where. Go ahead, put that up. I want the one where she looked like a scoundrel. I want the one where. No, do the
this one.
Before and after the makeup. Before and after makeup. No, go into Google before and after makeup. It should pop right up. Yeah.
I think this is one, isn't it?
Good night. You know, nah. Scroll down. It's a recent picture that then. It's a recent picture that then surfaced where she looked like.
Oh, she was through.
Yeah, she was toe up. She was toe up.
I only seen her on the after. I don't know what she looked like before.
Hey, most Christ. Hey, check that out on the you put it in the chat. Okay. Yeah, see if you could good night.
Yeah.
And this is the perfect example of like Christ, what we was reading in Matthew, what was it, the 22nd chapter? What Christ was trying to teach you in Matthew 22 and 36 is what you should put value in. Because you put your value in your body, you put your value in your body, you put your value in your things and money. You know what I mean? You look at Diddy, you know what I mean? A lot of brothers and sisters, you know what I mean? Sisters thought that Diddy was a high value man. You know what I mean? And brothers was like, I gotta get like Diddy. And then now Diddy is a insult. Somebody say no Diddy. Like,
Oh,
that's an insult. Well, before, if somebody compared you to Diddy 2 years ago, if somebody compared you to Diddy, you would feel brave, right? Because that Diddy had money, he had status, he had fame. But the Lord took away his bravery. And now Diddy is a byword. Diddy is like, you might as well you might as well say the N-word with a hard R. You might as well you might as well use the B word. You know what I mean? For brothers say no Diddy.
I switched profile. We keep pulling up Meta Business Suite though. When I pull up Facebook though,
Hey, no sweat. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. It's
keep
all
giving
good.
me a hard time.
It's all good. I understand. But that's the point. You get the point, right? Let's go back to that Isaiah real quick.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 18. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls, and their round tires like the moon.
Go to Deuteronomy 4 and hold Isaiah Salakia. Go to Deuteronomy in a different tab. 4 and 6. What is it? This is your wisdom and most high in Christ.
That's it.
See, the most High told you where your bravery should come from. He told you it already. And Christ, like we said before in Matthew 22, Christ is just reiterating what was already said. He didn't come with anything new. He showed you how to be the perfect brother and the perfect sister. But you know why we constantly got to reiterate? We constantly got to or Christ had to constantly reiterate, why the prophets had to constantly reiterate the most important thing, you know what I mean, what it takes to be a brother, how to serve the Lord. You know what I mean? Why the prophets, why the apostles and the disciples after Christ had to constantly reiterate is because we forgot. And what you got to understand, brothers and sisters, it's so much power in remembering. Like when you see your brother or when you see your oppressor, you notice your oppressor don't forget nothing. They don't forget the Alamo. You know what I mean? They don't forget their side of the Alamo. They don't forget you know what I mean, the Holocaust. They don't forget 9/11. They don't forget Pearl Harbor. They don't forget you know what I mean? They don't forget nothing. They don't forget nothing that, you know what I mean? They don't forget the founding fathers. They remember their history. But when it comes to you, when it comes to slavery, I forget it, but that was so long ago. What was that with you gotta forget. You gotta get over it. You know what I mean? You gotta forget about slavery. You gotta forget about your side of the Alamo, how Hispanic brothers died for the sake of blacks, Hispanic, or for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who were still in captivity. And Mexicans didn't go for slavery. Your oppressor tries to separate Hispanics from black people. Whole time, Hispanics was not with slavery. They was like, hey, look, we don't condone slavery over here on this side of the border. And if you still got slaves, then we can't mess with you either. So if you still, either you let your slaves go or we got beef. That's how your brothers, your La Raza, that's how they dealt with your pain and suffering. They didn't look at your pain and suffering and be like, oh, that's just you. Hey, we good over here. That's you. You got to pick yourself up off with your boot off your, what they say, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. They didn't say that. They was good over there across the border. But then they saw us. They saw their brothers and sisters in North America and was like, nah. We not gonna rest until all our brothers, and they, you know what I mean? It got rough, you know what I mean? But that's how our brothers looked at us. You know what I mean? And now in 2026, we look at our problems as if they separate. We look at ICE scooping up Hispanic brothers and sisters out of their homes and from their jobs and from their schools as if that's a separate issue. Until when? Until that same ICE agency goes into a black neighborhood in Chicago and in DC and starts to mess with black people, starts to mess with so-called African Americans. And that's when we wanted to make it our problem. You know what I mean? We was all good when it was all police brutality on so-called African Americans, and Trump was endorsing it. Until what? Then now Trump is targeting Hispanics, and then now we start to make each other's problems our own. You know what I mean? That's the result of us putting our value into things, into loving our oppressor, thinking that us loving our oppressor is going to get us things and get us status and get us safety. When we put our safety and our trust in anything but what the Lord gave us, then that's what happens. We're going to end up destroyed by our oppressor. And then eventually we're going to end up together anyway. But this is what the Lord said to put your safety and your trust in. Go ahead.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
See, go to verse 5 real quick. Salaki.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments.
He have taught you feelings and love. We just read in Matthew 22. It said, love the Most High God with all your heart and all your mind and all your strength. I mean, the Christian church teaches you that these are just feelings. But what did that say?
Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments.
See, the only way to love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and strength is to do what?
Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments.
To keep those statutes and those judgments. That's how you love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and strength. Go ahead.
Even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it.
All right, and that's the whole point. Like, this is another thing that your Christian pastors and your Christian Israelite groups like to teach you, that you don't have to keep the law until Christ come back. You don't have to keep the law. You can eat all the pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster that you want. You can sleep with all the strange women that you want. But when Christ come back, then he's going to set everything right. And then that's when you keep the law. But it just said right here, you going to do these laws, statutes, and commandments in the land, whatever land you in, whatever land you go to possess it. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nation.
And this is why it's so evil for the Christian church to tell you that the law is done away with, because this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the other nations. See, these law, statutes, and commandments, for your Christian pastor to tell you the law, statutes, and commandments is done away with, they're telling you that your wisdom and understanding, they're taking away your wisdom and understanding. That's what they're doing. Like, you can't have wisdom and understanding without these law, statutes, and commandments. I mean, that's why the Most High says that he hasn't dealt so with any other nation. I mean, as far as his statutes and his judgments, they have not known him. He's only dealt with you. And you were supposed to use that wisdom to rule over the planet Earth. But these Christian pastors, these Catholic priests, and these Christian Israelite groups, they didn't convince blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that we don't have to keep our law. And that's why it's impossible for us to love each other. That's why your friendships only last as long as you're high. That's why your friendships only last as long as you got something to smoke or something to drink or, something to sleep with or something to put in your mouth. Or, that's why your friendships only last as long as the money's there. That's why your relationships only last as long as the money is there. See, when Meg Thee Stallion, she thought she hit the jackpot with Klay Thompson, but then as soon as he was like, "Nah, I'm not giving you that $700,000 a month," now all of a sudden, it ain't all sunshine and rainbows. You know what I mean? That's how long our relationship lasts. But go ahead, read on.
Khan. This is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
See, in the wilderness, you know what I mean? When we was when Moses was telling the Israelites this, we was in the wilderness. I mean, we didn't have we had tents. We was on the go. We had unleavened bread. We had this flat bread that didn't have time to rise because we was constantly on the go. We didn't know where we was gonna get water from. That's why Moses had to, you know what I mean, through the Lord, through the Most High, Moses had to produce water from a rock. That's why the Most High had to produce food from, you know what I mean, he had to produce manna for us to eat. You know what I mean? That's why he had to produce these quail to drop for us to eat. Because in the wilderness, we didn't have, you know what I mean, we only had so much. I mean, I believe the gold we had, we melted into an idol. You know what I mean? We only had so much. But when that money ran out, when that food ran out, when that water ran out, guess what we did? We turned on each other. But when this was being told to the Israelites, we was in the wilderness. So that should tell you that your brotherhood shouldn't be predicated on money, shouldn't be predicated on fame. Who you choose a husband or a wife shouldn't be predicated on money, fame, jewelry, height, weight. It shouldn't be predicated on any of those things. How you maintain relationships within the nation of Israel, within Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American families should be based on, read that again.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, and verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
See, you can have wisdom without money. And without money, like if you base your relationships on money and beauty and jewelry and all these vain things, then that relationship ain't gonna last long. But if you base your relationships on these law, statutes, and commandments and keeping them, then you can have a thriving and successful relationship with your brother, with your sister, with your father, with your mother, with your children, with your friends, with your, you know what I mean, with your husband, with your wife. Even if you have nothing. Go ahead.
Khan. This is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
And that's the whole point. Like you can have, not only can you have a successful relationship with your family, but you can be in rulership if only you put these laws, statutes, and commandments first. That's the point. Go ahead. Or actually go to let's go back to that
so if I could.
Oh, please go ahead.
To your point, I know you was talking about Meg the Stallion asking for 700,000. I just had some stats if I could. It says as of April 2026, Meg the Stallion's income is estimated at roughly $388,000 or $485,000 per month. She has an estimated net worth of $40 million. So asking for the 700,000 as if you don't even already have almost $500,000 is insane. Salakia.
Good night. No, that's a heavy point. And also, she asking for 700,000 a month, and that was the deal breaker. No 700,000 a month. You're not even making 700,000 a month, but that was the deal breaker. You know what I mean? But that just goes to show you as well. Like no matter how much money you get, no matter how much money you think, like every brother, every sister got a number in their head where they think like, especially sisters, you know what I mean? Sisters forego having a family. The thing that you've been thinking about since you were a little girl. You know what I mean? You've been having Cabbage Patch dolls and, you know what I mean, these baby dolls that you treated like your baby. When you was a little girl, the first thing that you could think about, the only thing that you ever wanted was to be a mother and have a family of your own. But Sisters will forego a family for a career. You know what I mean? And you go through your entire life, you know what I mean, just you know what I mean, putting money first, putting this fame first, putting the bag first. And then by the time you ready to settle down and get you a husband, have you a family, you know what I mean? Now all of a sudden this brother gotta make $100 billion a year. He gotta pay all the bills, pay for the nanny, pay for the housekeeper, you know what I mean, buy the groceries, pay for the private chef to cook the groceries, take you out, but don't, Lord forbid, you go to Cheesecake Factory. You know what I mean? Like by the time we ready to build a family, our perception on what appropriate wife or appropriate husband is so skewed that we don't even want each other. But that's why it's so important to put the law first. Go ahead. Read what you got.
You want verse 19, Isaiah 3?
Oh yeah, you go to 19.
No sweat. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, and verse 19. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers.
All of the stuff that our sisters love to wear.
Verse 20. The bonnets.
I know y'all know about the bonnets.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands, and the tablets, and the earrings.
Yeah, I know y'all. You know what I mean. I know y'all bathroom. I know y'all brothers. Y'all bathroom sink is going through hell because there's all sorts of ornaments and what's it called, the tinctures and the skincare and the what they call it. Good night. The lotions and the shampoos and the conditioners and the eyelashes and I mean your bathroom sink going through hell. There ain't no room for nothing. You can't put your toothbrush on the on the bathroom sink because it's also the whole beauty care routine is there. You open up the medicine cabinet, there's more stuff. You know what I mean? You go to the you know what I mean, the what's it called, the nightstand and it's more stuff. You know what I mean? Because we know how our sisters are, and you know what I mean, we ain't got no problem with it. You know what I mean? We love it. We love our sisters to be beautiful, and you know what I mean, get all done up. Well minded. Go ahead.
Verse 21. The rings and nose jewels.
We get the point. Let's go to chapter 4 now. You know what I mean, so we love all those things. And we love for our sisters to have those things, the nose jewels and the earrings and the tablets and the head, the bonnets and the, you know what I mean, the lashes and the makeup and all of that and the you know what I mean, all of those different things. But this is what we always end up coming back to. Go ahead. This is what we always remember after we didn't had you know what I mean, baby mama after baby mama, after we didn't have baby daddy after baby daddy, after we didn't have families separated, and you know what I mean, your mother hates you, your mother hate the children, and the children hate the mother, vice versa with the father hate the children, and the children hate the father. You know what I mean, your grandfather, you don't even know who your grandfather is. I mean, your cousins and your whole family is estranged. But this is what we remember. This is what it always comes down to. And if only we could just remember this thing right here, then maybe we could just keep our relationships together. We don't have to worry about having an embarrassing moments like what we just saw on the internet with Meg Thee Stallion and what was bro name? Klay Thompson. I mean, and every sister that got on the internet to defend some whore that doesn't even know your name. She doesn't even know you. You know what I mean? We think that these things is important. This is what's actually important. Go ahead.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 4, and verse 1. And in that day,
that day. So we know what that day is now, right? So in the day when the Lord will take away, in the day that the Lord will take away your bracelets and your earrings and instead of well set hair, baldness, and instead of a sweet smell, stink, and instead of you know what I mean, a beautiful dress and a beautiful garment, a rent, which is, you know, torn up clothes. You know what I mean? We not able to go to what's them fancy department stores we like to go to. You know what I mean?
Neiman Marcus.
Hey, you would know better than me.
Like
I know.
Neiman Marcus and Balenciaga and Louis Vuitton
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Gucci.
Come. Yeah, you look at Cardi B, you look at Meg Thee Stallion, you see how she got a you know what I mean, what's the Birkin bag. You see she got the Birkin. You see she got the, you know what I mean, the flyest jewelry and the flyest garments. You see she got the Fenty and the Gucci and the Prada and all of that. You know what I mean? And we think that our relationships ain't nothing if we can't afford those things as men. Or if your man can't give you those things, we think that ain't nothing. You know what I mean? If he can't put you up in a 12 bedroom estate with 13 bathrooms, we think that we ain't nothing if we can't afford those things. But the Lord can take those things away. And in that day, which is right now, because we don't have none of those things. And even if you do have those things, like you see with all these celebrities, like Diddy had, like Kanye had, like you know what I mean? You look at any of these celebrities, you see that they got all of these things. When the Lord, even if you got those things, you barely got them. You gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta, you know what I mean, a 4 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 2 bedroom house. You barely got that. You're barely hanging on to that. You wearing Jordans, and because we like Jordans. We like some fly stuff. You got them earrings. You got that. You able to get your hair done every week. You able to get your nails done every week. You able to eat out every week, and this, that, and the third, and all these luxuries. You barely got those things. But when the Lord takes those things away, in that day, go ahead.
And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man.
See, now all of a sudden, that's the deal breaker with sisters. Sharing your husband, you can get down with the feast days. You can get down with, traveling for Passover and going broke every year, doing, serving the Lord. You can get down with cooking for feast days and, wrapping your head and con out of one concert. You can get down with all those things. But a lot of sisters draw the line with sharing your husband. But read that again.
Con. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man.
But in that day, we're going to remember that doesn't mean anything. You sharing your husband is not a big deal. That's what we're going to discover. That's what we're discovering right now. Go ahead.
Con. We will eat our own bread.
We will do what?
Eat our own bread.
We know what bread is, right? I mean, if you think like a black person, you know what bread is. Bread is the money. You know what I mean? And that's another deal breaker too. That was Meg Thee Stallion's deal breaker, where she needed $700,000 a month, and he was like, "Look, I can't." He heard that, he was like, "I can't be with just you. I can't be monogamous." Allegedly, I don't know if he addressed the statements or said if it was true or not, but so far with the information I got, he said after she said that, he was just like, "Look, I can't be monogamous." Which lets you know that he wasn't even talking about leaving her. He was just like, "Look, I can't be with just you. He'll stay with you, but I can't just be with you." And that was the deal breaker. The $700,000 a month and monogamy was the deal breaker. But in that day, not only are we not going to care about that vain thing, the monogamy, or a man having more than one woman, but that man not having 6 figures, 6 foot tall, with being all the vain things, taking you to Cheesecake Factory, all of that's not gonna mean nothing either. Go ahead.
So like if I could.
Oh, please go ahead.
To your point, I think it's funny in a lot of situations. A lot of women will say that they're married to Christ. Mm-hmm. But like, let's just say Christ came back right now. He was walking the earth in the same condition that he left in, but he still has that reputation as Christ. Meaning that when he was here, he didn't have nothing. The birds had nests and the worms had holes, but the Son of Man had no place to rest his head. And every woman now claiming that they're married to Christ, it would have been hundreds of thousands of women lined up and would have been believing in a man can have multiple wives in that day. And then another thing I will also say, if I could, I just find it funny how it is always a problem, especially like in the world, that a woman will go and try to mess with a man that already has a woman and then try to replace that woman. It's like it.
No, everything you just said was absolutely true. You told the truth. Like Christ was poor. He was homeless. And every woman before coming to, you know what I mean, if you're not in ISUPK, of course, every woman in the world is like, Christ is my husband. So that means every woman in the world is sharing a homeless man as your as your husband. You know what I mean? That alone should. Good night. Yeah, that was an excellent point. Go ahead, read on.
Khan. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach.
See, the only thing that's going to matter, the only thing when things get rough, that's going to matter is who do you belong to? Whose house do you belong to? Whose name are you called by? Like these sisters in the UPK, get these sisters a hand. You know what I mean? Now these sisters, they come in here, they get a husband, and then they check in the class and they say, Shalom, Yahweh Shamar Alatha, by Hashem Yahweh. And they say, possession of priest and officer, such and such. These sisters check in and they check in under their husband. They check in and say, I am the possession of priest and officer such and such. That's what these sisters in here do. I don't know what y'all do at home. I don't know what y'all do outside of the UPK. But these sisters in here, these sisters are proud to call these brothers their husband. You know what I mean, no matter how many women this brother got, they will check in. You'll see four sisters check in under the same brother. Possession of priest and officer such and such out of city and state. You know what I mean? And all of them belong to him. And they're absolutely fine with that. That's One West. That's how you know that you've that's how you know that you know what's important. You know what I mean? What's the most important thing? You know what I mean? What matters after the money's gone? After the, you know what I mean, the fame and the notoriety's gone, after things get difficult. You know what I mean? That's how you know you really in the truth. Go ahead. What we was holding?
Matthew. This one?
You go ahead and read that.
No sweat. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 22 and verse 40. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
So those 2 commandments, that loving the Lord with all your heart, mind, strength, and soul, and loving your brother, that's all that matters. Us staying together, us considering one another, us keeping each other on the forefront of our mind, that's what's going to keep this family together. You know what I mean? It's not going to be money. It's not going to be, you know what I mean? And the money going to come, trust me. You know what I mean? Once we get right with the Lord, you know what I mean? The money and the fame and the, you know what I mean, the rulership, all of that's going to come. But like it says in scripture, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then all these things will be added unto you. You know what I mean? You seek the kingdom of heaven, you just focus on loving your brother. You focus on keeping these commandments. And then everything else, the wisdom and understanding, that's gonna come. And then from the wisdom and understanding, we're gonna be able to build the kingdom. Then once we in the kingdom, you know what I mean, we ain't gonna have to, I mean, once we've shown the Lord that we, you know what I mean, we've put each other first and we put the Most High first, then we don't have to worry about going to clock in at some bogus job and working all these hours and having to wrestle with your manager and your supervisor who only make $1 more than you, but they think that they run the place. You know what I mean? You ain't got to worry about those things if we just put the Lord first and remember what's important. Let's get Proverbs 31 and 30 real quick.
Okay.
And the reason why we forgotten is because of our oppressor. That's the whole point. That's like your oppressor, they know who you are. They like it's not like they don't know. Like what they teach you in the school, they teach you that Christopher Columbus didn't know anybody was over here. They teach you that you know what I mean? They teach you that you know what I mean, the conquistadors, they didn't know who we were. They just thought we was savages. You know what I mean? When Andrew Jackson pushed the Native Americans west via the Trail of Tears, they make it seem like we was just our people was just savages and they didn't know who these people was. But they absolutely know who you are. And the only way for them to be able to conquer you and for them to be in rulership is for you to forget who you are. That's the whole point. And this is how they do it. Go ahead, read what you got.
Khan Khan. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 30. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain.
Favor is deceitful. Beauty is vain. You see, it feel like this happened in the blink of an eye. Meg Thee Stallion. I mean, I couldn't tell you one of her songs except for the whole WAP joint. But what was that about 2 years ago? A year or two ago? You know what I mean? Her and Cardi B was the hottest thing since sliced bread. I mean, they were favored in the earth amongst men and women. You know what I mean? Brothers couldn't get enough of these. You know what I mean? What was it? Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, Lotto. I don't even know what Lotto looked like. What's her name? The bald head one. Good night.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even remember her damn name. But you know what I mean, like 2 years ago, they was the hottest thing on the radio. They was the most sought after. They were the most favored in the earth as female artists. What is her name? I was just talking about her earlier.
You're not talking about Emma Rose.
Nah. She one of the more recent ones. She treat her fans horrible. I know that much.
Oh, you talking about Doja Cat?
Doja Cat. See, it's crazy. It's crazy because I had this conversation earlier with my rib and I couldn't remember her name. But then I said that she treated her fans terrible. Yeah. And she was like, oh, Doja Cat. That's crazy. Read that again.
Khan. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 30. Favor is deceitful.
See, favor is deceitful. See, you think that just because these sisters, these brothers got these reputations, they celebrities, you know what I mean, that they great people. You know what I mean? Diddy, he was one of them too. He was favored amongst the black community. You know what I mean? R. Kelly, favored. Bill Cosby, favored. Michael Jackson, favored. Mike Tyson. I mean, we can go all day. All of these people was favored amongst blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But read that again.
Khan. Favor is deceitful.
See, you put your faith in popularity. You just want to be with the most popular person in the world, huh? Since high school, since elementary school, the only person you wanted to deal with was the most popular, the one that had the new light up shoes and the new Jordans. You know what I mean? That's the only person that you wanted to deal with. Well, favor is deceitful. That's a terrible way to build your family on, to build brotherhood, to build sisterhood on. It's favor, who's popular, because go ahead. Favor is deceitful, and what else?
Khan. And beauty is vain.
Beauty is vain. I really wish I could pull this picture up of what's her name? Instagram. Yeah, oh girl, she looked good night. She looked like a boy. You know what she looked like? While the brother pulling it up, she looked like the bad kid from Toy Story without her makeup on. That's what she looked like. Most likely. Is that it? Yep. There you go. Go ahead. Put the go ahead.
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead. Share that screen right quick. You don't even know who that is.
Nah, I know who this is.
That look like Bobby. Like her name Bobby or something. She look like she drive trucks. She looked like a lot lizard.
I think I got a comparison.
Well, go ahead, do your thing. But that beauty is
Ain't his,
Oh, good
what's his
night.
name? That's his name, ain't it? Bobby. Hold up.
Yeah, that's exactly what. Good night. That's exactly what she looked like.
Who's the one? Yeah, the one that's always drinking the beers. What's his name?
Oh, Dale. You know what?
He
Yeah,
always
Dale.
getting drunk, man. What's the this one? Him.
Good night.
It's him. It's
Yeah, that's
Dale.
crazy.
It's Dale. That's his name.
That's crazy. That's
Oh,
hey, go back to let's go back to the scripture real quick. You know what I mean? That beauty, you get the point, right? You trying to find a woman based on beauty. You trying to find a woman based on what you see. Read that again, Baba Kasha.
Khan. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 30. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised.
That's who shall be praised. You know what I mean? A woman that fears the Lord. A woman that knows where value is and knows how to treat her family. That's the type of woman that's gonna be praised. That's the woman that's gonna be lifted up, and that's gonna be, you know what I mean, publicly acknowledged. You know what I mean? That's the woman that you wanna make a wife out of. But it seems like all the hoes is getting the attention. It seemed like the only you can't get it. It seemed like these sisters in the school, you know what I mean, they can't get no attention or no acknowledgement or no love or no, you know what I mean, no nothing. You know what I mean? Because the these imaginary sisters on the internet is getting all the attention. You know what I mean? These Instagram models is getting all the attention that don't even know your name. You like their picture, they don't even know it happened. You know what I mean? Like they getting all the attention. Meanwhile, your rib is trying to. Your rib is wondering when you coming home. Like when you gonna come and when you gonna come see me? Come and see me for once. You know what I mean? Like your rib is trying to figure out when you gonna come and see her. When you gonna give her this attention? When y'all gonna go out? You know what I mean? But seem like these sisters can't get no attention because they don't got no BBL. They ain't got no BBL. You know what I mean? Klay Thompson ain't looking for no sister with a head wrap on. He not looking for no sister with a dress down to the foot that can make a garment from scratch. I've seen sisters make garments from nothing. I still look. Y'all sisters, man. Good night. I seen sisters that could just make a meal out of nothing. Open a cabinet. I'm looking in the refrigerator. I'm thinking. I look in the refrigerator. I'm thinking we are gonna starve. We're going to starve today. This is the day. You know what I mean? We got one loaf of bread. We're gonna bite it and pass it around. That's gonna be dinner tonight. And then a woman, you know what I mean, you get you the right woman, that woman gonna get in that same refrigerator. You looked in there, you lost all hope. That woman gonna get up in there, look in that refrigerator, look in the cabinets, and she gonna make a feast for everybody. You know what I mean? But that type of woman don't get no attention because she's not posing behind first in them pictures like them Instagram models that we like. You know what I mean? Well, read that again, Bob the Show.
Khan. Verse 30. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised.
See, that's the idea right there. See, a sister that all you gonna be worried about, like after the money gone, after the you know what I mean, after Instagram gone, after you know what I mean, like after the money gone, after the fame gone, after the makeup gone, you know what I mean, after that youth is gone, you're gonna be looking for a woman that got some wisdom and some understanding. And you get that from following these laws, statutes, and commandments. Same with these sisters. You know what I mean? After that money, the muscles gone. You know what I mean? The brother, you know what I mean? He might have been 6'7" in his youth, but that back is bad. So now he hunched over and now he went from 6'7" to 5'8". You know what I mean? He went from 6'7" to 5'2". You know what I mean? When all of that happened, when age hits you, when them finances, you know what I mean, when the finances crash, when that jewelry ain't there, you know what I mean, you're gonna be looking for a man with some wisdom. But that's where we go wrong. We don't know what brotherhood is if it landed in our lap. I mean, you see, oh my God, like that's what you see it with you know what I mean, Klay Thompson. You know what I mean, good night. I don't even, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there because Lord knows, you know what I mean, them brothers and that brother and that sister ain't in the truth. So, you know what I mean, Lord knows why they doing what they doing. But if a brother in the ISUPK rib you up and take away your reproach, that's brotherhood. That is absolutely brotherhood. And if a sister look at you and see how oppressed you are under your oppressor and still choose you, that's sisterhood. And that's the brotherhood and that's the sisterhood. That's the love for one another that we need. And that's why the two greatest commandments, you still got that pulled up? That's why the two greatest commandments hang on these all the law hang on these two commandments. Because what the Christian church and the Catholic church fails to realize is that the law is brotherhood. It revolves around brotherhood. If you don't steal from your brother, I mean that's a law, but if you don't steal, that shows that you love your brother. It's unlawful to commit adultery for as a man to sleep with a woman that has a husband already, or a sister that has a husband to sleep with somebody that's not their husband. That's against the law. But if I love my brother, if I love my sister, then I wouldn't sleep with my brother's wife. And if you love your husband, if you love your brother, you wouldn't sleep with another man that's not your husband. You see how the law and brotherhood goes hand in hand? Thou shalt not, you know what I mean? Thou shalt not kill. You know what I mean? Unless it's in self-defense. You know what I mean? If I love my brother or my sister, I'm not gonna take the life of, like General Muhammad said, you know what I mean, the brother that unalived his you know what I mean, his children, and I believe he unalived himself afterwards. You know what I mean? You love your children. If your woman want to leave you, I mean, Lord forbid, if that woman loved you, she wouldn't leave you. You know what I mean? She wouldn't leave you and the kids. Y'all will work it out. We'll be able to work it out. But if that woman leave you, you know what I mean? Don't unalive the entire family. If you love them, you know what I mean? The law, you can't have brotherhood without the law. Go ahead.
Khan. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 22 and verse 39. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 40.
That's the whole point. That right there ties it all together. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. If you could you look up neighbor in the Zondervan, Abior? And that's the whole point right there. If you love yourself, you wouldn't want nobody stealing from you. Then don't steal from your brother. If you didn't appreciate, this is what always confuses me, right? Every brother and every sister hates that they grew up in a broken home. Every brother in particular, you hated your father for not being there. You wanted at the moment that you reunited with your father, you was a grown man, you was 18, you was out the house. A lot of brothers, you know what I mean, especially from where I'm from, I don't know about y'all, but when brothers become 18, the first thing they want to do is try their father because he was never there. And you hated him for so long. You spent 18 years hating this man that was barely in your life. And then once you turn 18, the first thing you want to do is try your father. You want to fight your father. You hated him because he wasn't there. You didn't know why he wasn't there. You know what I mean? But you hated him for not being there. Most High Christ. And then guess what we do? We sleep with a woman and then throw her away. And then, I don't know if y'all noticed, but that's where babies come from. You sleep with a woman, she may end up pregnant. That is where babies don't come from nowhere else. You sleep with a woman, You get her pregnant. Now you have a family. You know what I mean? But you spent all of your life hating your father, this man that you don't even understand why he's not there. You just hated him for not being there. And then you grow up and then you sleep with women. And then after, you know what I mean, a couple weeks, a couple days, a couple months of knowing them and sleeping together, you're like, I don't know if I could deal with you. Then you start to consider the baggage. You're like, I don't know if I could be with this woman. She got 2 kids already, and I ain't trying to be with no woman with 2 kids. I'm trying to have a woman with no kids so I can start a family from scratch. But you slept with this woman though. You slept with a woman. You slept with her already. You know what I mean? Slacky, go ahead and read what you got.
Colonel Wakan, sir. This is the definition of neighbor in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. In the Old Testament, neighbor meant one who lived nearby, a fellow Israelite.
A what?
A fellow Israelite.
Read that one more time for the Christians in the back.
Colonel Wakan, sir. In the Old Testament, neighbor meant one who lived nearby.
This is where the Christian stops, right here. So they say, neighbor, turn to your neighbor. Say, neighbor, you turn to your neighbor, and it's an Edomite in that same Christian church serving the same Christian white Jesus that you serving. But a neighbor is not only somebody that lives nearby, but what?
A fellow Israelite.
A fellow Israelite. That's where you draw the line in the sand. Your neighbor isn't just somebody, your neighbor that lives next to you, because guess what? Your oppressor knows that that's not what a neighbor is. They'll tell you that's what your neighbor is. They'll come out and be like, "Howdy, neighbor." You know what I mean? I don't. You know what I mean? You go through them Edomite neighborhoods, and they'll play that role real good. They'll be like, "Morning, howdy." You know what I mean? They'll act like they your neighbor, but you know what I mean? You get to see them too many Edomites in your neighborhood, and you know that your neighborhood is you know that you're not gonna be able to live there too much longer. I mean, every Black, Hispanic, and Native American neighborhood has either been taken over and you know what I mean, by force, one way or the other. You know what I mean, whether it's through the sword or gentrification. I mean, now they do it subtly with redlining and bills and laws and construction and you know what I mean, things like that and what's it called? I think they call them black laws. You know what I mean? Where they'll arrest you for doing something that you know what I mean that you don't even know is illegal, but it's a law against. It's a subtle law that they make against Black people. You know what I mean? And make it impossible for you to get loans to be able to build up your neighborhoods and build up your communities. But then they move in the Chinese to build up food shops and nail shops and hair salons, the Africans to build up, you know what I mean, food shops and hair salons in your neighborhood. Before you know it, you surrounded by the enemy. And then, you know what I mean, you see the construction crew come through, you see them come through and they start to tear down your neighborhoods, the apartments where you grew up at. And then they start to rebuild, you know what I mean, certain properties in your neighborhood. So now where you was paying $500-600 a month for your 2-bedroom, now that same 2-bedroom is you know, $1,500, $1,800. So now you can no longer afford to live in a place that you grew up in. You know what I mean, that's how when you include these other nations as neighbors to you, that's what inevitably happens. Go ahead. What was that? What was it? A different scripture. What was the part that just said neighbor? That's it right there.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 39. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So now we know that a neighbor is a fellow Israelite. A neighbor, your neighbor is somebody Black, Hispanic, or Native American that look just like you. I mean, this is how you know that it is an absolute disgusting thing. If you have a relationship with a, you know what I mean, with a Black, Hispanic, and Native American brother or sister, and then you decide that you only want white friends, you only want a white woman, you only want you know what I mean, a white man, you decide that you only want to keep company with your oppressors in all these different nations, that's a reflection of how you hate yourself. Go ahead, read that again.
And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
You supposed to love your neighbor, that fellow Israelite, just like how you love yourself. See, we only rob our own people. I'm not saying go out and rob your oppressor, but we only kick in the door of a fellow Israelite, of Black, Hispanic, or Native American. We only, you see how the standard for our relationships is completely different from our oppressor. Like, for our sisters, a brother gotta be 6 foot. He gotta be over 6 foot. Gotta make six figures, and have a just 6 foot rod, and have no children, and this, that, and the third. Have all these, have perfectly straight teeth, full head of hair. You gotta have everything. But then that same sister will be fed up with dealing with brothers, and then go and get a Edomite, and that Edomite is 5'2". He make 40,000 a year, maybe 80,000. He got a good contracting job or whatever the case is. Maybe he an engineer or something. Maybe he, and that's absolutely acceptable. You know what I mean? The good night. You know what the Lord, how the Lord has blessed Black, how the Lord has blessed us, and has not blessed our oppressor. You know what I mean? So that sister ain't getting satisfied in bed, but our sister standards will change when it comes to these other nations. Same with brothers. That sister, she gotta have a big old behind, she gotta have big old breasts, she gotta be in a certain type of shape, she gotta have a full head of hair, she gotta have a certain type of skin, she gotta have a certain accent. She gotta cook clean and do all this extra stuff. But then you get with Becky, she got the food stamps, she 450 pounds, she smell like a petting zoo. And that's absolutely fine with you. As long as we got the game twisted, man. But if you love your neighbor like yourself, then you can have an excellent relationship even in poverty. And then who knows? You get with a brother or sister that's in hell just like you. The Lord, he that brother or sister, he or she not gonna be poor forever. You can get with a poor brother or poor sister, and then the Lord will bless the work of their hands. We was just in Proverbs 31. You read Proverbs 31, and it's all about this sister who is, she is like the merchant ships who brings her goods from afar. This is a sister that get to the money. She's not asking about how much this brother is making. You know what I mean? And you get with you get with a sister, she could do some things with her hands, and bring peace and, what's the word? Prosperity into your, she will bring your household up from the dust. With nothing. And we see it all the time in the ISUPK, where brothers and sisters have next to nothing and are thriving. Got, look at the Hispanic brothers and sisters. That's a perfect example. They got just as much nothing as we got. They in the same hell that we is in, but they making it work. You'll see brothers and sisters in the same house with cousins and abuelas and abuelos and tios and tias, and they in a 4-bedroom with 8 families. Making it work. That's the type of love that we gotta have for one another. Go to John 15 real quick.
You had a question as well.
Most time Christ. We get the question real quick.
Okay, no sweat. The sister Gian said, "Why don't we give each other loans so we can be self-dependent?" You were speaking about it earlier.
Most High Christ. No, we absolutely do that here in the ISUPK. We are and this is the thing, right? We can be absolutely self-sufficient here in the ISUPK. if we communicate with one another. That's why every brother and sister has a camp leader. Every camp leader has a captain. Every captain has a captain, or every captain of 10,000 has a captain of 13,000 over them. Every captain of 13,000 has a general over them in their zone. And we all, are under command of General Yohana. If we rely on one another, then we can absolutely be self-sufficient. You know what I mean? That's absolutely possible. And that's what you're seeing here. You know what I mean? But the problem is we don't talk to one another. You know what I mean? We don't talk to one another. We don't communicate with one another. So you might have this brother over here. He got this resource that I need. I got, you know what I mean? I got you know what I mean? I might have some seeds, some seeds that I'm trying to, you know what I mean? I might be a good gardener. You know what I mean? I might be a good at you know what I mean, raising lives or crops, you know what I mean? Growing crops. But this brother might have the land for me to raise the crops on. But I don't know what he got, and he don't know what I got. He don't know I don't know the skills that he got, and he don't know the skills that I got because we don't talk to one another. So to your question, sis, we absolutely can, and we do. You know what I mean? Not only just loans, you know what I mean, to one another. In the ISUPK, of course, go to your camp leader if you do need a loan and do it in decency and order. But not only do we do it with loans, but we build up. You know what I mean? We built. I mean, that's how the school is. That's how every school has been built in every city in the ISUPK. That's how we got a school in San Antonio and in Houston and in Killeen and Dallas. You know what I mean? Because this brother got to connect on this. This brother might have these type of finances. This brother might be able to you know what I mean? This brother you know what I mean, give Barakyat and Yawasha hand. You know what I mean? These brothers got the skills and the understanding to be able to you know what I mean, maintain a property. And you know what I mean, that's how we have these schools. But for that to work, we got to choose one another and communicate with one another. But the problem is we want to do everything by ourselves. We want to do everything by ourselves and have more than the next brother so that we could stun on one another. You know what I mean, and that's how your family is gonna fall. You know, I pray that answered your question, sis. And that was an excellent question too. And that's practical. That right there, what the sister just said, that was absolutely practical. Like, why don't we just lean on one another? You know what I mean? That's why we had these records so that we can learn how to do that again. Go ahead and read what you got. 15 and
John?
Yeah, John 15 and 13.
It's the book of John, chapter 15 and verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
See, this is absolute brotherhood. I'm gonna tell you the problem with this, though. I'm gonna tell you the problem. This is absolutely one West, and this is absolutely true. But this is the part that brothers and sisters forget. All right, we quick to say that we'll die for one another. It's so easy to say, just like it's easy to say that you love the Lord. Like it, what does it say? I mean, anybody that say that they love the Most High, but they hate their brother is a liar. It's easy to say that you love the Most High because you haven't seen the Most High. You got your brother down here that you hate, though, that you see every day. You know what I mean? It's easy to say you love the Lord. You know what I mean? But it's hard to hate. It's hard to love your brother. And this is the problem with this right here. See, there is no greater love than a man can have or a brother or sister can have than they lay their life down for their friends. But you laying your life down is more than just you jumping in front of a bullet. You jumping in front of a train, you know what I mean? You laying your life down is simply, it could just be, I'm offended with what this brother or sister said on the internet. I'm offended with what this brother or sister did. And instead of going to the internet and making a long paragraph about how I disagree with this brother or sister over here, instead of forming this clique with these brothers and sisters over here and not dealing with these brothers and sisters over here, I'm going to just go to that brother and sister and fix it. That's how you lay down your life for your friends. And the problem is, I mean, brothers are quick to say, "Oh, I'll die for you. I'll give my life for you. I'll give my last for you. I'll do this, that, and the third." It's easy to say, "I'll die for you," while there's no bullet to jump in front of. And you know what I mean? That's the point. You know what I mean? The Lord wants us to fix our relationships. Like, it's easy to die because we die every day. I mean, don't you still smoke cigarettes? Even though it say right on the packet, will cause cancer, is addictive. Don't you drink yourself to death every night? You know what I mean? Don't you sleep with any woman that'll have you, any man that'll have you, risking all sorts of STDs and, you know what I mean, risking your life and your health? Aren't you afraid to go to the doctor? Wasn't you the one that didn't want to go to the doctor to get that COVID vaccine when it was coming out? You was afraid that it was gonna turn into a zombie, wasn't you? We opt into death. It's so easy to die for one another. It's so easy to die. We'll easily die. We'll easily, you know what I mean, lose our lives. But it's hard for us to do the thing. It's hard for us to die spiritually. It's hard for us to die for ourselves. That's the part. You know what I mean? Read that again.
It's the book of John, chapter 15 and verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
See, you believe that your man should only love you and be with you all by yourself, and you should be enough. But there's no greater love than a woman that'll lay down what she think is righteous and do what the Lord says is righteous instead. You think that, oh, I slept with this woman, but I mean, I ain't put no ring on her finger. I ain't really messing with her like that. You know what I mean? She could go head on. You know what I mean? It's easy to do that. That's what you believe. But the hard thing for you to show love to that sister and lay down your life is, if you lay with that woman, you stay with that woman. And if you don't plan on staying with that woman, don't lay with that woman. And furthermore, if you're gonna lay with a woman, if you're gonna take your woman through all of this hell and make her come to feast days and make her, you know what I mean, make camp meals, you're gonna make this woman, you know what I mean, work 2 and 3 jobs and, you know what I mean, hold you down so that you can focus on the work of the Lord. The least that you can do is, if you are gonna get another woman, don't get a woman that's less than her. You know what I mean? Don't get a woman, you know what I mean, you putting her through all of this. She got to wrap her head up and she got to, you know what I mean, put on a dress and she got to Yahweh Shamar Alatha by Hashem Yahweh Shai. You know what I mean, she got to do all of that. And then you go to the club and sleep with candy, what I say earlier? Candy draws. Yeah, candy cakes. You sleep with candy, you bring candy cakes home. And now you got this righteous woman, you know what I mean, that's making biscuits from scratch, and, you know what I mean, con not a one con, and, you know what I mean, she coming to class and she got to stand next to candy cakes at the Passover and be like, look at my 2 princesses. Nah, man. You got to lay down your life for your friends, bro. So that you can show that's how you show the Lord that you love your people. You know what I mean? By laying down what you think is righteous, what you think is Tawab, what you think is, you know what I mean, what you think is what is that scripture? Casting down imaginations in high places. What was that? Yeah, 1 Corinthians 10 and let's go to it. We'll find it. And this is how you lay down your life for your friends. This is the only way. There's only one way to do it. I know you want. I know you're willing to jump in front of a what Bruno Mars say. I'll jump in front of a train for you. I'll throw my hand on a blade. I'll catch a grenade for. I know we'll do all of that because we so depressed in this earth because your oppressor is the devil and he been oppressing you since before you could remember. Everything in your life revolves around your oppressor and how he is the devil to you. That's the one. You know what I mean? So I know you want to die. I know you want to lose your life. I know you'll jump in front of a plane, a train for me. I know you'll catch a grenade. I get it. I know you will because you don't want to be here, because you hate it here, because your oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of, and we are in hell. I get it. I know. But this is how you die for me. This is how you lay down your life for your friends. Go ahead. Read verse 4, if you could, Baba Kasha.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal.
See, we think that when it says that lay down your life for your friends, we think carnal. We think, oh, I got to lay down my life. So I'm going to, and it might, not saying that, because sometimes you might have to lose your life for your family. Sometimes you might have to, especially you brothers, you got all these wives, you might have to jump in front of a bullet for that sister. You hear that bump in the night after you done worked your 12-hour shift. You just got home at 2 in the morning. And 2:30 in the morning, you hear some glass breaking downstairs. And guess who got to get up? Guess who got to get up and jump in front of that bullet, jump in front of that knife to protect your family? So sometimes you absolutely might have to physically die for your family. But this is the part, this is the dying that brothers and sisters don't want to do. You know what I mean? And this is something that you got to check in yourself every day. Like it's not a, it's I ain't gonna, and nobody said it was gonna be easy. Go ahead.
For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal.
I know it's so easy to jump in front of that knife, in front of that bullet. You know what I mean? But the weapons of your warfare are not carnal. The thing that's the most important to fight is the thing that you don't want to fight. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
But mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds.
The mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And the greatest stronghold that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans got, is our minds. See, our oppressor is a big, has a big role in the destruction of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American families. But it's to the point where, we don't even have to, our oppressors don't even have to come in our neighborhoods and unalive us as much as they used to. Like they used to, do you understand that slavery is so much more gruesome than we learned in school? Like in school, we learned that, we were property. We learned about the Underground Railroad. We learned about getting whipped. We even learned about lynchings. But what they didn't tell you is that they used to eat us. They used to consume our flesh. You know what I mean? They used to burn us alive. They used to sexually assault our fathers in front of us. They used to beat the we ain't got time to good night. You looking at the letters of Willie Lynch. They would beat the father, the man of the house. They would beat the father to death. And then take the eldest son and beat him almost to death. All of this is happening in front of the family. So the mother and then the rest of the children, the younger brothers and sisters. And then that is what made the woman get in line with the oppressor and then raise the son to be weak. Because he took the strongest male and beat him to death. And then he took the second strongest male and beat him almost to death. And then it made the woman, that same mother, that same single mother, raise the daughters to be masculine. That's what happened. But we don't know these things. So because your oppressor did those things to you, he ate you. He used to feed you to alligators. He used to cut he used to rip our people apart and tie their limbs to horses in different directions and and whip the horses so that they run in different directions and rip your body apart, drag you up the road until you was unalive. You know what I mean? That's what they used to do to us. They don't teach you that in school though. But because they did those things, now they don't have to whip your back no more. They used to have to whip your back to get you to eat pork. Now they ain't got to whip your back. Now all you want is pork. All you desire is pork now. They used to have to force themselves on our women, where all our sisters wanted was a black man. And it didn't matter if he had a family on this side of town and a family on this side of town. All our women wanted was a black man. And it didn't matter how many women he had. That woman was never leaving that black man and raising them children upright. You know what I mean? And maintaining that household. Now, you know what I mean? They used to force their, you know what I mean? Our oppressor used to force themselves on our women. They used to force themselves on our men. Now, that's all we want. All we want is a white woman, is a white man, is a East Indian, is a all we want is an African. You know what I mean? The African sold you. Now all we want is to be bought by African. So the weapons of your warfare, the thing that you fighting ain't carnal. It's not carnal no more. You're not fighting whips and chains, physical whips and chains. You're not fighting chattel slavery anymore. You're fighting strongholds in your mind. Go ahead, read on.
Khan. Verse 5. Casting down imaginations.
Not casting down whips.
Imaginations.
Not casting down chattel slavery.
Imaginations.
And lynchings.
Imaginations.
See, this is where the war is now. Is what's in your mind, what's in your imagination. See, you imagine a world where you don't have to worry about, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, where you don't have to worry about, you know what I mean, working. You don't have to worry about paying bills. So that's why we want to get with our oppressor, because they own everything, because they stole everything from us. So we know that they got the resources. They got the inheritance. They inherited property. They inherited land. They inherited resources. They inherited money. Meanwhile, you inherited the slavery and picked up right where your forefathers left off, in poverty. You inherited more poverty. Go ahead.
Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God.
See, because you're so poor, your priority is sleeping with whoever and doing whatever you think will get you out of poverty. But those are the things, those are the high things that exalt themselves against the knowledge of the Most High God. Because what we just read in Deuteronomy 4 and 6 is that these laws, statutes, and commandments is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the other nations. That's what's going to put you in rulership. And that's ultimately what we want. But because your oppressor has done such a terrible number on the minds and on the imaginations of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the only way that we can see out of this oppression is to concede to what our oppressor wants. And those are what your oppressor does. Your oppressor only purpose is to exalt itself against the knowledge of God. Go ahead.
Khan. Itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ.
Yeah, that's how you combat that. That's how you combat the wiles of your oppressor. You have to take everything that's been put in your mind by your oppressor. I ain't gonna listen to no man. Ain't nobody about to tell me what to do. Oh, if he don't want me, then I don't want him. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You think that you want every flavor of woman, right? You want every woman but a black woman. You know what I mean? All of that thing, everything that you got in your mind that you think is right, or we want to get high. We think we celebrating Thanksgiving and Christmas for the kids and it's all fine. We got to cast those imaginations down and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. And Christ just taught what the prophets of old taught. He just taught what the Most High gave to Moses from the beginning, what the Most High gave to Adam from the beginning.
Right.
That's all he did. So you bring your thoughts into captivity under the obedience of Christ. You're following these laws, statutes, and commandments so that we can learn how to be brothers and sisters again. All right. Was there any more questions in the chat or anything? Any comments you want to bring up or any questions in the room? Okay, most on Christ.
If I could.
Oh, please go ahead.
To the scripture when you just read I just read the last part, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. It just goes back to your entire point of having brotherhood based on the last scripture when you said no greater love is a man to lay down his life, and Christ did so. Christ laid down his life physically, to die for the sins of Israel. And we got to have brotherhood to do this spiritually for our brothers and sisters in Israel, because, you being a drug dealer, you're just adding to the chaos in the neighborhood that you scream for, that Black Lives Matter. But if you stop being a drug dealer, now you no longer are having somebody's auntie hooked, you know what I'm saying, or a kid's life destroyed because of one time he does drugs. And now, like you said, when they hitting that pack of cigarettes, you know what I'm saying, they smoking their life away. Or you're the reason as to why this brother died at 13 is because he took your drugs and you laced it with fentanyl.
Right.
Just to make a quick sale. So to your point, like we always say that we're followers of Christ. Every thought and everything we do has to be towards the obedience of Christ. And that means laying down your life.
No, what you said, give him a hand. You know what I mean? What this brother said was absolutely correct. And this is the part that brothers and sisters forget about Christ. Like all we think about is him dying on the cross. And you know what I mean? So that's why it's so easy for Christians to be like, I'll die for you. Oh, I love Jesus. Oh, Jesus is my husband. That's why it's so easy, because we only think about the carnal aspect of it. But before Christ died or was unalived on the cross, before he was executed, he gave up his life for his friends. Like it wasn't just the cross. He gave up his life because he, like the scriptures say, said, foxes have holes, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man have nowhere to lay his head. That same Christ where you say all these sisters say is their husband, Christ was homeless. He could have had everything because he had the wisdom to be able to, you know what I mean? You think you slick. You think you savvy in America. You think that you able to get by with the little bit of nothing that you got, and you able to build a life for yourself by, you know what I mean, using the resources at your disposal. Christ was the wisest man in the earth to this day. You don't think that he could have had luxury? You don't think he could have had power over Caiaphas and Nicodemus? You know what I mean? The Pharisees and the Sadducees who would come to him by night and say, Rabbi, I know that you are a teacher sent from God. You don't think that he could have had power and authority over them, and power with the Romans and authority with the Romans? You don't think that he could have had wealth like the Pharisees and Sadducees had? He could have absolutely had those things. You don't think that Christ could have had women, had multiple women? He could have had as many. I mean, let y'all tell it. You know what I mean, he could have had all of y'all. I mean, we good luck to us. You know what I mean? Because these sisters are married to Christ. You know what I mean? Let these sisters tell it. Christ will have 100,000 women, and Lord be with us. You know what I mean? But he didn't. He forwent all of those things because he gave his life for his friends, for his brothers. Who is my mother? Who is my brother? Those that do the will of the Father are my mother and my brother. And that's who he laid his life down for. You know what I mean? And now now it's our turn. You know what I mean? He did the heavy lifting. He died on the cross. You know what I mean? He died for the crimes that we committed. He paid the price for the crimes we committed. We was the drug addicts. He was perfect. We was the drug addicts. We was the whores and the whoremongers. We was the terrible parents. You know what I mean? We was the thieves and the murderers. Christ was perfect, and he paid the price. So now you ain't gotta do that. You ain't gotta lay down. You ain't gotta jump out a window. You ain't got to jump in front of a train and catch a grenade for me. Just change your life for me. With that, if there are no questions or comments, we'll go ahead and pass the class to what's up. Oh, please go ahead, sis.
Okay, Matthew 22 and 37. You speaks about loving the Lord with your heart, your soul, your mind, with all of it. So my question is, and I was asked this question today: do we really get better, or who really gets better? And in terms of this love you speaking about, because if, in particular, females, if you're brokenhearted, or if you broke, period, I mean heart, soul, and mind, you can't love because you just don't have it. If you are broken, you cannot, you just don't have the love. So you are unable to love with your heart, your soul, and your mind. And so the question was raised, do we really get better, and how do we get better?
That's an excellent question, sis. And Lord willing, this will put it in perspective. Go to 1 John 5 and 2. Because this is the question that you asking is the same problem that Meg Thee Stallion is having with Klay Thompson. See, Klay Thompson, he wanted to be monogamous. He had the nerve and audacity to use his God-given right to have more than one woman. He had the audacity to decide that he wanted to have more than one woman. And guess what? She was heartbroken. Every woman that has left their man, or every man that has left their woman, was heartbroken. And they used that as an excuse to break up families. And fast forward, that's why a lot of us grew up without a mother and a father in the house. Or if you had a father in the house, he was alcoholic, he was a drug addict. If you had a mother in the house, she was abusive and rambunctious, a drug addict, an alcoholic. You constantly have men coming in and out of your mother's house. You had to call this man father, then you had to call this man father, all because of what you just asked about, because they were heartbroken and they had nothing left. But love isn't that feeling that you have in your chest. It's not what love is. This is love. Go ahead.
This is the book of 1 John chapter 5 and verse 2. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments.
So what is love, sis, based on what we just read?
For us to keep the commandments.
Come on, give her a hand. Now see how simple that was? Now go back to your question. How can you love if you are broken? If you broken, then you can't love, right? What does that mean? So if I'm brokenhearted, right? Say my wife, Lord forbid, but say my wife leave me, or one of my brothers that I fought side by side with and would die for leaves, and I never see him again. I'm be brokenhearted. Perfect example. Officer Crab, he raised up Killeen. At one point he was the only brother in Killeen, and he built, under the instruction and guidance of, Cap, General Muhammad, the men above him, Commander General Yohana, under the authority of the Most High God, he built up all of this. And then he passed. Guess what that left us? Say it in the mic. You on to it, sis.
Brokenhearted.
Damn right. It left us brokenhearted. Now, does that mean that after everything that was built in Killeen, where brothers came in as drug addicts, we don't do drugs no more. We came in as whoremongers. Every woman that we sleep with, we're staying with that woman. You know what I mean? These sisters, you know what I mean? They thought that they didn't believe sex was marriage, but they came in here and now sex is marriage. So now they're staying with their husband. But we're brokenhearted because Officer Karab's no longer with us. Does that now give us the license to, can I steal from you now because Officer Karab passed and I'm brokenhearted? You sure? You sure? Yeah, you get the point now?
Kind sir.
Most High in Christ. See, you being brokenhearted doesn't give you the license to sin. It doesn't. And the reason why we think that is because we don't know what love is. We think that love is that touchy, warm feeling, that fuzzy feeling in your heart. You know what I mean? But love is simply just keeping the commandments. So no matter what I lose, no matter who leaves me, no matter who stays, no matter if I'm broke, no matter if I'm rich, no matter who, you know what I mean? No matter who lives in my life, no matter who passes away, I'm going to keep the commandments. That's how you love. And that you was in Matthew 22. You still got that up? Go ahead and read that, Baba Kasha.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 22 and verse 37.
So now that we know what love is, and we know that love or being brokenhearted doesn't give us the license to sin, now I'm gonna try to make this make sense. All right, go ahead.
Wakan. Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.
So now that we know this isn't talking about feelings, because some days you're not gonna feel it. You're not gonna feel like, you know what I mean, Matthew 18:15 in your brother. Some days you're gonna be tempted to steal. Some days you're gonna be tempted to relapse and do drugs and, you know, drink yourself under the table. But this is on those days where you're not feeling, you don't have that fuzzy feeling. You're gonna need discipline and zeal. That's what this is talking about. When it says love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy mind and all thy soul, that's discipline and zeal. That's what that's talking about. Does that make more sense now?
Kind sir.
Most High Christ. All right, give her a hand. Most High Christ. All right, was there any more questions or comments or anything? Okay, no sweat. All right, with that, we're going to pass the class to Priest and also 500 IBR for the security announcements. Give him a hand.
With the ISUPK security announcements. With the ISUPK started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will get permission. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is the commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10. Ma'ashara means 10th in the Hebrew. 10% of any penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give it to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Up and coming holy convocations. We got Salakia. We got the Feast of First Fruits. The Feast of First Fruits starts after the Sabbath, unleavened bread, sundown, April 12, 2026. Count 50 days. Celebrate the 50th day, Sunday, May 31st, 2026. Start before sundown. This could be found in Leviticus 23, chapter 10-22. Remind Akim and Akwat to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirt, headband, and scarf. And with that concludes ISUPK security announcements.
With that, we're going to go ahead and give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel Majum, which means to stand. Amajum Shabbat. Amajum Barak. Yahbashim Yahshaprakto. Yajimata. Sar. Turn to face the sisters. Courtesy to the sisters. Listen to Majum. You stand. Men of Israel Majum Shabbat. Amajum Barak. Yahweh Shema Nathal Bashem Yahusha. Yadmata, last of this.
Because when I found this truth, guess what happened? I put my birthday away. When I found this truth, I put the drugs away. When I found this truth, I quit whoring my sisters. When I found this truth, I started becoming a better man and a better person. Because now I know I'm on that narrow path. Now I know I'm on a righteous path. Now I know what I'm doing is going to get me somewhere.